American Pie wasn't just a movie. It became a rite of passage for an entire generation. The cast became symbols of an era almost overnight. But behind the fame, real life hit harder than anyone expected. From shocking scandals to sudden deaths, their true stories will leave you stunned. Join us as we uncover who they really were and honor the legacies they left behind. Eugene Levy as Noah Levenstein. Eugene Levy was born on December 17, 1946 in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. At 52 years old, he played Noah Levenstein, the awkward yet unexpectedly wise father in American Pie, 1999. The character became a defining emotional anchor for the franchise, balancing shock humor with sincerity and giving the film its most quoted scenes. That calm confidence was shaped early. Growing up Jewish in a working-class Canadian city, Levy faced open anti-Semitism at school, including having the word Jew scrawled across his student council posters. Instead of retreating, he learned to absorb hostility and respond with restraint, a survival skill that later defined both his comedy and leadership style. His career began slowly and without guarantees. After performing in the Toronto production of Godspell in the early 1970s, Levy became a core member of Second City Toronto and SCTV, where he created dozens of characters and earned respect inside the industry while remaining largely invisible to mainstream audiences. Film roles followed in National Lampoon's Vacation and Splash, but for years he was trusted as a supporting presence rather than a leading name. Marriage provided stability during uncertain decades. Levy married Deborah Devine in 1977, and together they raised their children, Dan Levy and Sarah Levy, far from Hollywood chaos. The family bond later became creative fuel when Levy co-created Schitt's Creek with Dan, a project that grew from modest expectations into an Emmy-dominating phenomenon, while films like A Mighty Wind quietly earned him a Grammy. Today, Eugene Levy is 80 years old and remains professionally active, hosting The Reluctant Traveler for Apple TV+. Despite losing his Pacific Palisades home in the 2025 wildfire, he continues working alongside his family, with an estimated net worth of $30 million earned through acting, writing, and production, closing a career defined by patience rather than speed. Jason Biggs as Jim Levenstein. Jason Biggs was born on May 12, 1978 in Pompton Plains, New Jersey. At 21 years old, he played Jim Levenstein, the painfully awkward teenager at the center of American Pie, 1999. The performance turned him into the face of late 1990s teen comedy and permanently linked his image to the film's most infamous moments. That sudden exposure followed years of pressure. Biggs began acting in commercials at age 5, earned his SAG card at 10, and balanced auditions with school while already supporting himself financially. He briefly attended New York University and Montclair State, but ultimately left college when acting demands made a conventional education impossible. Career momentum arrived fast, but narrowed his options. After American Pie, Biggs struggled to escape the typecast image through films like Loser and Saving Silverman, even as box office success continued. Broadway work and voice acting, including Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, kept him working while the industry recalibrated how it saw him. Marriage offered grounding as fame cooled. Biggs married actress Jenny Mollen in 2008, and they later welcomed 2 sons, building a stable home life that contrasted sharply with his on-screen persona. During this period, television projects such as Orange is the New Black allowed him to reset his career and earn ensemble recognition. Now, Jason Biggs is 48 years old and continues working across television, hosting, and voice acting, including Netflix projects and competition shows. With an estimated net worth of $20 million, his career reflects adaptation rather than decline, shaped by early fame and sustained through persistence rather than reinvention. Seann William Scott as Steve Stifler. Seann William Scott was born on October 3, 1976, in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. At 22 years old, he played Steve Stifler, the loud, aggressive alpha of the group in American Pie, 1999. The character injected raw energy into the film and became its most disruptive force, pushing every scene toward chaos and notoriety. That explosive screen presence came from harsh beginning. Growing up as the youngest of 7 children in a small Midwestern town, Scott learned competition early through football and basketball, then learned survival after moving to Los Angeles by working at Home Depot and the city zoo. Discipline came from necessity, not ambition, and failure was never abstract. His career changed overnight, but not without cost. Paid only $8,000 for American Pie, Scott suddenly found himself leading comedies like Road Trip and Dude, Where's My Car, while also being trapped by expectations that he would always be Stifler. Choosing Goon years later allowed him to show restraint and vulnerability, earning respect even when box office hype had faded. Marriage arrived during a quieter phase. Scott married interior designer Olivia Korenberg in 2019, welcomed a daughter, Frankie Rose, in 2020, and tried to balance fatherhood with an industry that had moved on. The marriage ended in 2024, leaving shared custody and a court-ordered child support arrangement that marked a rare public fracture in his private life. In 2026, Seann William Scott is 50 years old and continues working steadily in film and television, including dramatic roles and voice work that contrast his early image. With an estimated net worth of $25 million, his career stands as a study in endurance after typecasting, shaped by reinvention rather than retreat. Alyson Hannigan as Michelle Flaherty. Alyson Hannigan was born on March 24, 1974, in Washington, D.C. At 25 years old, she played Michelle Flaherty, the deceptively innocent band geek in American Pie, 1999. Her performance delivered one of the film's most shocking reversals, transforming a background character into a pop culture punchline. That control over surprise was learned early. After her parents divorced, Hannigan moved with her mother from Atlanta to Hollywood at 11, working commercials while managing school and auditions alone. Independence became routine, and early exposure to rejection shaped her discipline long before fame arrived. Her career unfolded in layers rather than spikes. After early films and setbacks like Dead Man on Campus, Hannigan found creative security through Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then cemented longevity with How I Met Your Mother, where consistency mattered more than spectacle. These roles proved she could anchor long-running narratives without relying on shock value. Marriage reinforced stability rather than disruption. Hannigan married actor Alexis Denisov in 2003, and together they raised 2 daughters while working within the same creative circles. Unlike many peers, her personal life remained largely untouched by scandal, allowing professional momentum to continue uninterrupted. Now, Alyson Hannigan is 52 years old and remains active as a host, actress, and television presence following her run on Penn and Teller, Fool Us. With an estimated net worth of $40 million, her career reflects accumulation through reliability, built quietly on decades of consistent work rather than headline controversy. Thomas Ian Nicholas as Kevin Myers. Thomas Ian Nicholas was born on July 10, 1980, in Las Vegas, Nevada. At 19 years old, he played Kevin Myers, the anxious, idealistic boyfriend of the group in American Pie. Kevin's emotional perspective helped shape the film's structure, giving the story a romantic center amid escalating chaos. That on-screen composure came from early exposure to the industry. Raised by a mother who worked as a professional dancer and ran an acting school, Nicholas began acting at a young age and quickly moved into television roles such as Who's the Boss and Married by with Children. His early success as a child star in Rookie of the Year and A Kid in King Arthur's Court brought visibility, but it also locked him into an age-specific image. After American Pie became a global franchise, Nicholas faced difficulty transitioning into adult leading roles. He continued working steadily, appearing in projects like The Rules of Attraction and later portraying Walt Disney in Walt Before Mickey. a low-budget independent film that required him to carry the story with limited studio support. During this period, he also shifted focus toward producing and music, releasing albums such as Without Warning while trying to diversify his career. His personal life evolved alongside those professional changes. Nicholas married DJ Colette Marino in 2007, and together they had 2 children while balancing touring schedules, film work, and family responsibilities. Over time, the strain of competing priorities became evident, and the couple divorced in 2022 after 14 years of marriage. Today, Thomas Ian Nicholas is 46 years old and continues to work across independent films, television projects, and music releases. With an estimated net worth of $3 million built through acting, producing, and touring, his career reflects persistence rather than resurgence, staying active and adaptable as the industry moved on from teen stardom. Eddie Kaye Thomas as Paul Finch. Eddie Kaye Thomas was born on October 31, 1980, in New York City. At 18 years old, he played Paul Finch, the quiet, observant intellectual of the group in American Pie. Finch's restraint and deadpan delivery added contrast to the film's louder characters and became one of its most quoted elements. That sense of control was built on stage discipline. Thomas began performing in theater at the age of 7 and graduated from the Professional Children's High School after already accumulating Broadway experience. Before American Pie, he appeared on television series such as One Life to Live and Are You Afraid of the Dark, developing timing and confidence in front of live and studio audiences. Following the success of American Pie, Thomas encountered the challenge of being associated almost exclusively with comedic supporting roles. He addressed this by committing to long-term television work, starring in series like Off Center and Till Death, while also maintaining a consistent voice acting role on American Dad. That provided steady income and visibility over many years. A major turning point came with Scorpion, where Thomas appeared in 93 episodes as Dr. Tobias Toby Curtis between 2014 and 2018. The demanding production schedule and ensemble format allowed him to demonstrate reliability and range on network television, expanding his audience well beyond the teen comedy era. Around this time, he married and became a father, choosing to keep his family life private. Now, Eddie Kaye Thomas is 46 years old and remains active in television, film, and voice acting. With an estimated net worth of $7 million earned through consistent screen work rather than blockbuster stardom, his career stands as an example of longevity built on steady roles and disciplined choices rather than reinvention narratives. Jennifer Coolidge as Janine Stifler. Jennifer Coolidge was born on August 28, 1961, in Boston, Massachusetts, and grew up in Norwell. At 38 years old, she played Janine Stifler, the seductive, unapologetic mother in American Pie. The role instantly became one of the film's most talked-about elements and helped turn the movie into a pop culture phenomenon. That confidence on screen was built slowly. Coolidge grew up studying music, playing the clarinet, and attending orchestra camps before committing to acting. After enrolling at Emerson College and the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, she worked as a waitress alongside Sandra Bullock while auditioning constantly, taking small roles in films like Not of This Earth and performing improv with the Groundlings. When American Pie succeeded, work increased, but opportunity narrowed. Coolidge became closely associated with exaggerated comedic characters, even as she proved range in projects such as Best in Show and A Mighty Wind with Christopher Guest. During this period, she also lost out on major television roles, including the part of Lynette Scavo on Desperate Housewives, a rejection she later acknowledged as deeply discouraging. Personal stability did not come through traditional paths. Coolidge never married and has no children, maintaining long-term independence while navigating public relationships with figures such as Raphael Edholm and Chris Kattan. Instead, she focused on activism, openly supporting LGBTQ+ rights, animal welfare, and maintaining a largely plant-based lifestyle that later earned her public recognition from PETA. In 2026, Jennifer Coolidge is 65 years old and remains professionally active following her career-defining success on The White Lotus, which earned her 2 Emmy Awards and a Golden Globe. With an estimated net worth of $6 million, she continues working selectively in film and television, finally receiving mainstream acclaim decades after her breakout. Chris Owen as Chuck Sherman. Chris Owen was born on September 25, 1980, in Royal Oak, Michigan. At 18 years old, he played Chuck the Shermanator, Sherman, the loud, delusional, self-styled ladies' man in American Pie. The character added raw absurdity to the ensemble and became a recurring joke across the franchise. That exaggerated confidence contrasted with his early working reality. Owen began acting at age 10 and built a steady resume through the 1990s, appearing in films such as Major Payne, Black Sheep, and the acclaimed October Sky, where his dramatic performance earned a Young Star Award nomination. These roles kept him visible, but rarely positioned him as a lead. After American Pie, Owen continued acting consistently, appearing in sequels, National Lampoon films, and dramatic projects like The Mist. However, mainstream momentum slowed, and by 2014 he was publicly reported to be working as a sushi waiter in Santa Monica, a job he openly described as necessary to stay financially stable while continuing auditions. Despite reduced visibility, Owen did not leave the industry. He returned in supporting roles across film and television, including The Last Sharknado and guest appearances on shows such as Criminal Minds. His persistence kept him working, even as fame from his early years faded. Today, Chris Owen is 46 years old and remains active as an actor, taking on selective roles while maintaining work outside major studio productions. With an estimated net worth of $400,000, his career reflects the long reality of character actors, survival through consistency rather than spotlight. John Cho as John, MILF Guy number 2. John Cho was born on June 16, 1972, in Seoul, South Korea, and moved to the United States at the age of 6. At 27 years old, he played John, the casually outspoken MILF Guy number 2 in American Pie. Though brief, the role became culturally significant and introduced a phrase that spread far beyond the film. That moment came after years of quiet adjustment. Growing up in multiple U.S. cities, Cho was forced to abandon speaking Korean at home in order to assimilate, an experience that shaped his sense of identity. After studying English literature at UC Berkeley, he chose stage work with East-West Players, later appearing in films such as Better Luck Tomorrow, which openly challenged Asian American stereotypes. Following American Pie, Cho faced repeated industry limitations. He actively rejected roles that required exaggerated accents, notably refusing one in Big Fat Liar, and instead pursued characters with agency. This approach led to leading roles in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle and its sequels, and later to mainstream credibility through Star Trek, where he played Hikaru Sulu across 3 films. Personal stability contrasted with professional pressure. Cho married Kari Higuchi in 2006, and they later welcomed 2 children in 2008 and 2013. In 2019, a serious knee injury halted production on Cowboy Bebop for nearly a year, forcing him into physical rehabilitation while the industry moved forward without him. In 2026, John Cho is 54 years old and continues working across film, television, and writing, following his acclaimed lead performance in Searching and the publication of his book Troublemaker. With an estimated net worth of $14 million, his career reflects long-term persistence shaped by deliberate choices rather than rapid visibility. Chris Klein as Chris Oz Ostreicher. Chris Klein was born on March 14, 1979, in Hinsdale, Illinois. At 20 years old, he played Chris Oz Ostreicher, the soft-spoken athlete who chooses vulnerability over image in American Pie. The character gave the film emotional contrast and helped broaden its appeal beyond shock humor. That role followed a sudden career launch. Discovered by director Alexander Payne in high school, Klein entered the industry with Election and quickly transitioned into studio films. Early success continued with Here on Earth and American Pie 2, placing him among Hollywood's rising young leads. Momentum slowed after high-profile failures. Films such as Rollerball underperformed, and professional confidence weakened as offers became inconsistent. During this period, Klein struggled privately with alcohol dependency, which culminated in DUI arrests in 2005 and again in 2010, forcing public accountability. Rehabilitation became unavoidable. In 2010, Klein entered a 30-day inpatient treatment program to address alcoholism, a step he later acknowledged as necessary for survival. Work resumed gradually through television roles, including Wilfred, followed by renewed visibility as the villain Cicada on The Flash. Now, Chris Klein is 47 years old, married to Lena Rose Thifault, and raising 2 children born in 2016 and 2018. With an estimated net worth of $2 million, he continues acting steadily, most recently after a multi-season run on Sweet Magnolias, maintaining a career rebuilt through recovery rather than reinvention. Tara Reid as Vicky Latham. Tara Reid was born on November 8, 1975, in Wyckoff, New Jersey. At 23 years old, she played Vicky Latham, the insecure but emotionally sincere girlfriend in American Pie. The role positioned her as the film's emotional anchor and helped humanize a story dominated by crude humor. That visibility came after an unusually early start. Reid began acting at age 6 through commercials and television appearances, later attending the Professional Children's School in New York. By the late 1990s, she was moving between studio projects such as The Big Lebowski and Urban Legend, building momentum that led directly into American Pie. Following the franchise's success, her career entered unstable territory. Films like Josie and the Pussycats and Alone in the Dark failed critically and commercially, and her reputation suffered further after a widely publicized cosmetic surgery complication, which became a recurring subject of media scrutiny rather than private recovery. Her personal life offered little refuge. Reid never married and experienced several broken engagements, including high-profile splits from Carson Daly in 2001 and Michael Axtman in 2010. In 2021, she froze her eggs, later stating that industry pressure and career instability influenced that decision. Today, Tara Reid is 51 years old and continues acting primarily in independent projects after remaining visible through the Sharknado series. With an estimated net worth of $500,000, her career reflects the long-term cost of early fame without institutional protection. Mena Suvari as Heather. Mena Suvari was born on February 13, 1979, in Newport, Rhode Island. At 20 years old, she played Heather, the innocent choir girl and emotional ideal in American Pie. The role reinforced the film's romantic subplot and contrasted sharply with its explicit tone. Her rise was immediate and demanding. While filming American Pie, Suvari also starred in American Beauty, a project that brought critical acclaim and a BAFTA nomination. Early exposure placed her in constant production cycles, leaving little space to slow down or recalibrate. Commercial volatility followed quickly. Films such as Loser underperformed, and Suvari shifted toward darker material, including Spun and 6 Feet Under, where she earned a Screen Actors Guild nomination as part of the ensemble. These roles sustained credibility but reduced mainstream visibility. Her private life carried equal strain. Suvari married 3 times, first to Robert Brinkman, then Simone Sestito, and later Michael Hope, with each marriage ending amid periods of professional uncertainty. In 2021, she became a mother, a transition she described as stabilizing after years of personal disruption. In 2026, Mena Suvari is 47 years old, balancing selective acting roles with motherhood after recent recognition for RZR. With an estimated net worth of $4 million, her career reflects endurance through reinvention rather than uninterrupted ascent. Natasha Lyonne as Jessica. Natasha Lyonne was born on April 4, 1979 in New York City. She was 20 years old when she appeared as Jessica, the sharp-tongued and socially confident friend in American Pie, 1999. Although the role was small, it positioned her as a recognizable presence within the ensemble and led to her return in later sequels. Her early life was unstable and highly restrictive. Raised in an Orthodox Jewish household, Lyonne attended private religious schools where she studied the Talmud and Aramaic. She was expelled as a teenager, spent time living in Israel, and became largely estranged from both parents by the age of 16, effectively supporting herself from that point forward. Lyonne had been acting since childhood, appearing in Heartburn and Pee-wee's Playhouse before transitioning into independent films such as Slums of Beverly Hills and But I'm a Cheerleader. Despite steady work through the early 2000s, her career derailed in 2005 when severe heroin addiction led to hospitalization for hepatitis C, infective endocarditis, and a collapsed lung, followed by legal troubles and eviction. Her recovery reshaped her career trajectory. Beginning in 2013, Lyonne gained renewed recognition as Nikki Nichols on Orange is the New Black, earning a Screen Actors Guild Award with the ensemble. She later co-created, wrote, directed, and starred in Russian Doll, which earned multiple Emmy nominations, and headlined Poker Face from 2023 to 2025. Now, Natasha Lyonne is 47 years old and publicly identifies as queer. She continues working as an actress, creator, and producer, while also co-founding the AI film studio Asteria with Bryn Mooser. With an estimated net worth of $5 million, her career reflects survival through collapse, recovery, and reinvention rather than uninterrupted success. Shannon Elizabeth as Nadia. Shannon Elizabeth was born on September 7, 1973, in Houston, Texas, and grew up in Waco. She was 26 years old when she played Nadia, the foreign exchange student whose nude webcam scene became one of the most talked-about moments in American Pie, 1999. The role made her an immediate pop culture figure and led to her return in later installments. Before acting, Elizabeth trained seriously as a tennis player and considered a professional sports career. She later transitioned into modeling with Ford and Elite before moving into film, where her physical image quickly became central to how Hollywood cast and marketed her. Following American Pie, she appeared in commercially visible but uneven projects including Scary Movie, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and Tomcats. While these films maintained her visibility, they did not significantly expand her range, leading her to supplement acting with television work such as That 70s Show. Outside acting, Elizabeth developed a parallel career in professional poker. She competed in the World Series of Poker, won a high-profile celebrity tournament in 2006, and was widely recognized as one of the strongest celebrity players of that era. She also became increasingly active in animal welfare, founding the nonprofit Animal Avengers and dedicating much of her time to philanthropy. Today, Shannon Elizabeth is 53 years old and remains active across acting, activism, and selective film appearances. She has been married twice, divorcing actor Joseph D. Reitman in 2005 and later marrying Simon Borchert. With an estimated net worth of $5 million, her post-American Pie life reflects diversification rather than dependence on a single career path. More than 2 decades after American Pie first captured a generation, the cast has taken wildly different paths, some finding lasting success, others battling setbacks far from the spotlight. Looking at them in 1999 versus 2026, the contrast reveals how time reshapes fame in ways no script can predict. Which transformation surprised you the most, and whose journey do you think deserves more recognition today? Share your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into iconic movie casts then and now.